Yeah, and then I got it. It's like the impromptu UnFuckers meeting because there's no Transpicuous Views tonight. Yeah.
I'm so glad you did this, Danny. I was wondering if you were going to have anything tonight.
No, I wasn't going to. I've had a wild headache all day today, like literally as if someone's been stabbing me in the skull, in my brain. And we've got this weird storm coming in right now. We've got to say, okay, so here you go. So we were talking Florida. Ireland has got warning of 110 mile an hour or kilometer an hour?
Mile an hour.
110 mile an hour winds hitting Ireland tonight. We've got, they're calling gale force 7 winds that are going to be hitting here. And it's going to drop to, get this, 21 degrees toniite.
Ew.
Whoa.
Whoa.
We haven't had 21 degrees here in like
cold.
6 months. So, like, I actually made my boys put pajamas on for bed because it's supposed to drop. Right now, it's really humid. Like, it's really, really freaking humid right now because the wind shifted in from the sea, but it's supposed to shift again, and then the temperature is going to drop. So I like made my boys put actual pajamas on to go to bed. It's like, okay,
only at Danny's house does the temperature hit room temperature, and they put blankets on.
Oh.
Shut up! Just shut up. No, but it's yeah. We have a breezy house right now. Like, it's like crazy. And that, okay, so we're talking about Florida. So I've been tracking this. Since, seriously started tracking it Friday night. Someone tossed me over that video of the woman saying, guys, there's no fucking hurricane. Like, what are they talking about? And she would pull up all the other radar links, right? So i.e., not the NOAA feed, but the radar links and like international ones. So I went looking for myself, and from Friday night onwards, I've been like watching everything.
Yep.
And I've been watching it. And it's to say, I'm going to places on the radar links, and I'm looking at buoys that are like 5 kilometers off the coast. And it's saying, yeah, 15 mile an hour winds.
Yep.
She on that though, Danny. Did you know that?
What?
She did. She updated on that.
And I watched one of the videos yesterday afternoon. She did another video, and I just watched a little bit of it. But I've been watching myself. Like, now I've got. So when the whole thing was, it was yesterday, Saturday was supposed to have been hammering Cuba. I was on Cuba's own network, and I'm reading the things that they've got. Like, the government of Cuba is putting out all these official hurricane warnings. But when you actually went to each city and started looking up, it's like 13 kilometers an hour, 20 kilometers an hour, light rain. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. According to NOAA, the hurricane is right over this area of Cuba. And I'm reading it and I'm going, and
I've seen 3 independent videos now from the locals that it's just another day. It's like there's wind and rain, but nothing ridiculously out of the ordinary.
What the fuck? Mainstream media narratives.
Something on Saturday. Someone put a video up on Saturday, and it was, I guess, it'd been uploaded Friday night, and it was Hurricane Irma hitting the Bahamas. Here it comes. It's hitting the Bahamas. And there's clips, so there's like obviously like webcams, like so like typical webcams that are on the beach type thing, and then there's clips, and it goes. They're skipping through different clips, and at one point there's a guy on the pier lighting a cigarette, and I'm like, okay, in a hurricane you can't light a cigarette, not with a regular lighter. Like, the guy literally pulled out a smoke and went like this, click, and lit, and stood there smoking a cigarette. I'm like,
especially a Cat 5, right?
Yeah, a Category 5. I'm laughing. I'm going, okay, I'm looking at the wind. I'm looking at the chop on the water, and I'm like, that's an average windy day in Gozo. Like, I'm sorry, that is seriously just an average windy day. Like, right now, we've got gusts of 60 kilometer an hour gusts. I mean, and where we are, because of the depth of the bay, it's like it takes you off. Like I've seen people going flying across the boardwalk, like all of a sudden, like you're staggering along. We had the big thunderstorm on Thursday. We had flash floods all over the country. Like there's video, and I actually posted on my wall on Friday morning of a car in Schlendy Bay that had washed down the road and almost went to the sea. It almost went into the sea. It's common here. Like it happens all the time. There's a thunderstorm, the water runs down the hills, it floods out the villages, cars wash out into the bay every year. And it's no one evacuate. No, there's no big, oh my God, there's no battening down the hatches. We don't run out of water. We don't run out of food. It's just another day in the life of. And I know that there's been areas of Barbuda got fucking hit. They got wiped out. The island of Barbuda, holy shit. If you've gone and taken a look at some of the shit that happened there, the entire island has been completely fucking wiped out.
No shit.
But then it fucking died. There's nothing left. Like the storm is...
Yeah, it looks like a rainstorm.
It looks like a rainstorm. You got Katia that they're going on about, oh, Hurricane Katia is hitting Mexico. I'm watching it on the radar going, there's a bigger storm over Daytona Beach right now that no one was talking about because it was just a thunderstorm than Hurricane Katia. And Hurricane Jose was nothing. It was like a band of clouds rippling across, and that was it. But now I woke up this morning and Jose has got the circle. And I'm like, oh, they're pushing it. Like they're pushing Jose. They're trying to build it up into something else. Because it was not a hurricane. There was no circle pattern. There was no eye of the storm. There was jack fucking shit from Friday right through until Saturday night when I went to bed.
Well, it's still that way. I just posted on the UnFuckers that Jose doesn't exist anymore. Like on radar, I looked for it and I keep looking for it, and there's no moisture there.
Hold on, I'm looking. I'm going to pull it up because I'll have to pull them up one at a time.
So Jose is supposed to be after Irma.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. You got Harvey, Irma, Jose, or whatever.
Yeah.
Jose.
What I can't figure out is why they have everybody on the Weather Channel acting, too. They're all pretending, and everybody's an actor now. They're having to pretend that the wind gusts are stronger than they are. What's the agenda? Why are they playing along?
I actually had a giggle because I went up this morning when I got up. I go and loaded up all the different things that were going on. And I went looking at YouTube. Like, okay, so hit me, YouTube. Let's see how bad the mainstream is. And I'm laughing because it's like all these panic and it's like, oh, it's the cataclysmic hurricane and Tampa Bay is going to be devastated. I'm like, Tampa Bay is like 4 days away. With how slow this fucking hurricane's moving, Tampa Bay is 4 days away before it even gets close to Tampa. And
We're all going to die.
So, well, and that's just it. So then I go to, okay, so hold on. I got to pull this down so I can look at this one. Sorry, guys, just give me a second. I'm pulling. Yeah, Katia is nothing but a little tiny drizzle. And you've got all the rain up Florida. Which is the next one?
I think Jose has faded out completely, actually.
And Jose has petered out. Oh, look at that. It's completely petered out now. See, I haven't even looked at Jose now for about 7-8 hours. And it is completely petered out. Look at that.
Right, I know.
So this is, you have to sit there and go, like, wait a second. Yeah, we know that something's happening. We know for a fact something's happening. But literally, it's a thunderstorm. And it's got bad gusts of wind, and I'm sure the gusts are pretty strong in some areas. But it's not a Category 5 by any means.
I think this is a strong lesson for everybody that if you get a news report, oh, it's a disaster in Dayton, whatever. Go to Dayton. Go to the live cams in Dayton. Go to talk to the locals. Talk to the people that are there that have no agenda.
We've got someone feeding back really, really badly right now. And it almost feels like a voice is coming in on a telephone. Do you guys hear that as well?
Yeah.
My background is completely quiet.
Okay.
Mine too.
Yeah, no, it's just that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't hear it anymore.
It's gone. So someone muted themselves, and there's some kind of a weird. Anyways, it happens.
One thing I was going to point out about this whole thing is they still managed to turn Florida kind of into a ghost state.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
okay.
Know what I mean? And yeah, that was a major.
Kind of like what happened with Texas. Everyone get out of Texas. Everyone get out of Houston. Then you put in martial law.
I don't think Texas evacuated the way Florida did. No way.
No, they didn't.
No,
and
exactly.
This is on a state level.
But did you see the difference? Did you see the difference? It was like, we're going to drive this storm into Texas, and we're going to push the people out. And they didn't push the people hard enough. They didn't push the fear porn hard enough. Well, you look at how they've pushed the fear porn. And it's either the mayor of Miami or the mayor of Tampa. And I'm pretty sure it's Tampa. He was talking about apocalypse. This is cataclysmic apocalypse. Everyone must flee for their lives. And
look what they did with the was it satellite or radar that they were showing the storm? They were projecting and showing something that was twice the size of Harvey. And Harvey was the one that hit Houston.
I'd like to kind of push this to the side a little bit. What is the background significance of Florida? Why would they, if this was some conspiracy thing, why would they depopulate Florida? What would be the point?
Well, Depop is Depop.
Something.
They're just moving.
Very important naval bases in Florida.
Majority of people down there are seniors, darling.
Yep.
Seniors.
Yeah. You have a shitload of naval bases in Florida.
Cape Canaveral.
Cape Canaveral.
Air Force, space stuff.
Mm-hmm. You got Disney World.
And I remember when that all happened with Katrina. I think it was when the rig blew up. I brought this up to you a couple of weeks ago, Danny. They were talking about salt domes and stuff under the ocean there, and that the ground there down in that part of the country wasn't so stable anymore. But there was something down there that they wanted control of, and I can't remember what it was. Was it oil? Was it oil? I think maybe it was oil.
I don't know
what it was. The stuff that came bubbling up in the Gulf is absolute proof that oil is not made from dead dinosaurs and trees. It's an abiotic compound that's created by the planet. It will never run out.
No.
Right, but there's some sinister thing going on there.
There is. Listen,
they want control. They want control of that.
There's something more to it than this, Jane, because that's what I've been going all week.
They evacuated all of Florida. Yeah,
I have been racking my brain all weekend. I've been watching the news. I have been watching everything play out and going, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Okay? And you look at the last 5 weeks. Take 5-6 weeks. We have the Dark Sky exercise, which is all about EMP blasts and solar radiation, et cetera, et cetera. August 23rd. It just so happens is almost 15 days before we have the first X-class solar flare that we've had since 2015 and the largest X-class solar flare that we've had since 2006. Now we've had 2 of them because there was another one today. There was another one just about 6 hours ago. We had another X 8.2. Okay? Which is around the western limb. It's not going to affect us. And we may, the coronal mass ejection may glancing blow, but it's not directed towards us. So it's around the limb. We don't need to really think about it that much. Although I'll be watching that spot as it goes around the back. We have the flooding in Houston, wildfires in California, in Oregon, up in Canada.
Is there a hurting going on, Danny?
Okay. We have the X-class flares, the solar storm with the CMEs, which the media was fucking all over a month and a half and 2 months ago. All they could talk about was fucking, the massive solar flares. It could happen. Another Carrington event. It could happen. Blah, blah, blah. Then when we had the X-class flare, nothing. They say nothing about it. And I'm just like, whoa, what is the agenda? What the fuck? And we've got Irma, and we've got Harvey, which we know were created, they were driven, they were blown, they were man-made fucking disasters. And we're watching this play out. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the financial. So we're in September. Okay? September 23rd, September 26th, I think, is the final day for them to get the budget, U.S. fiscal budget, to be done and raise the debt ceiling. They can stretch it to the 30th of September. If they do not have the budget done, they're going to have the close down. The government will get closed down again like it was at 2014?
Just a couple years ago, yep.
2014 or 15, when the government got shut down, 2013. Okay? They have to raise the debt ceiling. Well, they can't raise the debt ceiling. They can. They can always raise it because they just make up their own fucking rules, but they can't raise it. So we've got the financial. We've got some wild shit going on in cryptocurrencies. The shit that I'm watching really, really, really fucking closely, and I'm actually going to be putting together a show on this really soon. I've got to talk to Jeff about it. Probably tomorrow. I may even send him a message tonight. We've got interesting shit going on. There's interesting shit going on politically around the world, financially around the world. There's been this massive, if we kind of zoom back out a little bit farther, you look at the last 6 months, mandatory vaccine laws are getting pushed all over Europe. We're seeing out and out ridiculous shit in legal actions where parents losing custody of their children for medical purposes, where the state is admitting, no, you do not have control over your children. We have control over your children, not you. And it's going out in the mainstream media. It's actually catching up with this shit. And I'm watching this shit right now this month. The insane energetics at the moment. What's going on? What are they doing? And I'm sitting on a fence at the moment going like, did they know this shit was coming, i.e. the solar flares, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Did they know it was coming? So they're setting shit up in advance in preparation of?
And notice
do they know something else is coming? Sorry, say again, Jane?
And notice all this started like following the eclipse, so it seems.
But it didn't. It's very easy.
No, not all of it.
Right? But then you have the whole eclipse. And the way that was another thing that was really pushed out. There was a lot of fear porn about the eclipse. There was a lot of New Age hokum shit put out about the eclipse. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of attention massively driven to the eclipse. And one thing I kept saying was, if that eclipse, the full eclipse had happened, and the full of it was somewhere over in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, would everyone have made such a big bother? No, they wouldn't have. People would have gone about their lives and been, oh, look, there's a solar eclipse. Okay, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? Something. There is something fucking going on right now that they are trying to get ahead of, trying to plan out for, trying to distract from.
I don't think it's really business as usual anymore.
No, I don't. And that's what I'm saying, John. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't think it's business as usual anymore.
Just to expand on this thought a little bit more. What I've been seeing, I think you and Lisa touched on this 3 years ago. What if they know they're going to lose? They know they have to wake people up, so they're going to do really stupid stuff until everybody and their dog goes, this is crap. Is that what's playing out?
That sounds too simple. Sorry.
Well, if you look at it from the energetic aspect, okay? We don't know, but we're pretty confident there is an end to the experiment.
Look over here while we do this over there.
Well, we're pretty confident that there is an end to the experiment. Mathematically, the system cannot survive. It has to collapse.
Right.
Now, if it collapses under its own weight without the people being prepared for it, at least in some way, there's going to be huge problems. We could all see that. Like everybody has looked at that and go, if the economy collapses, everybody's going to starve to death, blah, 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 down the road, right? Everybody has explored that aspect of it. Nobody's really looked at the folks who were the controllers, know it's going to collapse because it's a mathematical certainty. They know the game's up, and they are, or believe, because they're controllers, they're megalomaniacs, that they have to make sure everybody's aware, make sure that none of this shit happens, because their families are going to have problems too, right? If money is all of a sudden just goes away, their kids are going to starve just like everybody else's. So I'd like to give them at least enough credit to say they know it's going down. They know there's nothing they can do about it. So using the old scripts, because that's all they have, how would they prepare? Being megalomaniacs, they still think they're in control. They still think they have to prepare people. How would they prepare people for the inevitable shift that's coming? Right? It's a stretch. Yes, it's a stretch, but it does fit the patterns.
I also play that scenario out too, though. Like, John, that's one of the scenarios that I always keep in my mind of, if this is all as it's meant to be, going on the summation that this is all an experience and this is all playing out exactly as it's supposed to be. It was exactly as it was planned out to be. And that whole thing of waking people up, because like I said, the last month especially has been ludicrous. Like the amount of crap that we have seen, that even people who are asleep, who are so highly programmed, are themselves going,
what?
What? So yeah, I always keep that. That's always one of those factors. It's one of the scenarios that I keep in my mind. Is it playing out exactly the way it's supposed to play out? And that it is just going to get so ludicrously ridiculous that basically anyone as a human being is not going to be able to help but wake up, become aware, and start questioning and going, oh, wait. Because it is ludicrous. It is completely fucking ludicrous as shit that we're seeing right now. Now, I would hope that the thing, for example, using Florida as an example, if this is just another thunderstorm, this is really, really windy, the weather's real nasty, there's going to be some flooding, yeah. But it's just another fucking tropical thunderstorm that they have in Florida all the time. Is there going to be enough people who wake up and go, wait a second, you're telling me I just drove 17 hours to my mom's house to escape a fucking thunderstorm? Really?
Well, all those people that have moved out are going to experience, at least to some degree, a Ubuntu system. A system where you have a need, I have a way to fulfill it. Come on in, here's a meal, there's a place to sleep. Absolutely. Enjoy yourself.
Yep.
Right? There's this. I see a lot of layers within this. I can't look at a situation like this and go, this is the cause, this is the effect. Because I know from watching this for the last 15 years that what's obvious is not the plan.
Exactly. And that is my, John, that's exactly it. Because some of the shit I look at and I go, it's too obvious.
Yeah.
It's just too freaking obvious. Martial law. So if we go by that whole premise of people like, oh, they're going to evacuate cities, they're going to implement martial law, and oh my God, it's a takeover, blah. It's too fucking obvious. I just cannot believe that. I can't swallow it for a second. It's just, no, there's got to be more to it than this.
But it seems as if they use,
sorry, Chase?
they use bits and pieces of all of it. You know, it's none of it makes any sense to us anymore. And part of that, I think, is the control systems breaking down. But part of that is also that I don't think there really is. I don't think there's a way to control it anymore. I think as humanity, we're collectively choosing our own destiny now. And so none of it makes sense. The FEMA camps didn't make sense. This storm doesn't make sense. But if they can just get us off kilter long enough, I feel like there's one last try they have, one last 9/11 or something that's still brewing.
But there's something, it's massive distraction to me. Like you said, Chase, there's something still brewing. So what's the distraction away from? So for me,
what are they doing?
This last week, say like call it 8 days, I have spent more time looking at the news, looking at radars, looking at solar stuff.
Good.
With the thing. Okay, well, is it good, or have I just been distracted against something else that was going on? I don't know, Gene. That's my question, because when I get drawn into something like this, it is a physical story, i.e. like the solar flares, like the flooding and this stupid hurricane. But the back of my mind is always the question, if I wasn't doing this right now, what would I be doing? Mm-hmm. What would I be focused on? Oh, maybe another little story that quietly comes out of Russia, or another story that quietly comes out of China, and I missed it because I'm so focused on watching radar weather patterns.
But we were talking about the why. Why are they doing this to Florida?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, there could be an economic effect in the Carolinas, in Alabama, in all of the states that surround Florida, because everybody's got to go through there, right?
They can come to the Midwest. And the thing is, people from the West are coming this way to get away from the fires and the smoke. And the smoke is going all the way across the country.
Okay, well, this brings me to my next thing.
Yeah.
You have the West Coast kind of evacuating, kind of, sort of, and it's been going on for a while because you've had the droughts in California. You've had droves of people leaving California, and it's been as if they've been pushing people away from that coast. Now we have the storms that keep running up the East Coast, and it's all the fear porn continuously. Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Irma, pick another one, or Hurricane Andrew. And it's like compacting people in towards the center. Is that part of it? But again, we play a couple of what I've talked about is do they know something's coming? Do they know that something is going to come, and therefore they're prepping out, like almost like practice?
If the New Madrid thing is reasonably correct, then a big chunk of Florida is gone.
Oh, that's another thing. We've been hit with the earthquakes, Danny.
That's it, in Idaho.
No, also where Illinois and Indiana meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why John brought up New Madrid. And there's a big point, because we're looking at areas that aren't supposed to be rocking.
Well, yeah. And there's like a whole bunch of little earthquakes taking place over there in California where the New Madrid begins. And then we had smaller ones here in Indiana last night or early in the morning today.
Yeah, I mean, where I live, Idaho, the Panhandle, Idaho is just southwest of me. All that area, BC, Idaho, Montana, the Dakotas, it's all geologically stable areas.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no reason the planet would generate seismic activity there, because it's already happened. That's what made the mountains.
So did you have movement or no?
Here? No.
Okay, right.
No, it's really, really rare to have any sort of seismic activity in BC, in Montana, in the Idaho, or in the Dakotas. Really, really rare. Like I don't ever remember hearing anything about it in 56 or 53 years.
Well, interesting. I'm looking at the EMSC. I don't use the USGS. I just use them.
It's Nancy.
Is it Nancy?
Way up here where we're typing, a lady called Cindy puts up a lot of information, and our people, government, have passed more bills just like on the 6th.
Yep.
Okay, leading more to the New World Order. And we're also distracted. She's saying we're also distracted by the weather, that nobody's paying attention to what they're doing as far as passing more laws.
Yep. No, that's one of the things to bring up. Absolutely, Nancy.
That goes on with every
I
event.
put her website, or not her website, but her YouTube thing up farther.
Okay. Is 9/11 tomorrow? Oh, gee, I guess I gotta go pull up my 9/11 memes. Okay, I'll flood Facebook tomorrow with my 9/11 memes like I do every 9/11. Usually I start a week in advance, but I got distracted this week. So.
Okay, so they're testing. They're testing the hurricanes. They're testing God knows what, let alone on top of all the food. I think they're testing it because somebody put me on a TI list, and they're learning, and then they can, with G5, 5G coming in, they're going to be able to really do it, not just a weather test here or whatever test, earthquakes here and there, and then hang on to your teeth because I don't know that we can withstand that. It's all about being a TI and withstanding that.
Oh, we can withstand anything, darling. That's not even a question. We're rocking here in the Mediterranean, actually, right now. I'm just looking at the the EMSC map. Nancy, can you mute, love? Sorry, we're getting bad feedback through your mic. Just mute for a second. The MSC, the Mediterranean is rocking right now. Not big, 3.9s, 3.8s. There you go. Southern Idaho just had another one a few minutes ago at a 4.8. But Western Turkey, all across Illinois just had a 3.1. That was about 6 hours ago. And Mexico's been rocking ever since the 8.2. They've just nonstop. 4.3 in Oklahoma. Again, northern and central Italy has just been going all day. Northern and central Italy. But even up in France, they've had a couple in France now. Interesting.
That's like having an earthquake in central Ontario. It's freaking shield. It's bedrock.
Yep. It is. It's bedrock, and that's exactly it. It's just absolutely bizarre when you start. But okay, like I said, though, in the report I put out earlier this week, volcanoes. We have 38 active volcanoes right now. 38 erupting active volcanoes, not just they're kind of shimmying a little bit. Actually erupting volcanoes right now, 38 of them. And some of them are ones that have been dormant, like some of the ones in Indonesia have been dormant for a long time, and they've just woken up in the last year or 2 years. I don't think it's fracking, Mercedes, and I think fracking is a distraction. I honestly do at this point, because there's a lot of attention goes to, it's fracking that's causing it, because then you can at least blame something. Something tangible, right? You can create a tangible thing and blame it on it. It's kind of like what Ann and I talked about months ago about with the vaccines and autism. They blame mercury in vaccines for autism. It gives you something tangible to blame, and then you can put all your energy towards pointing a finger at that one thing. It's the mercury and it's the fracking, when that's not necessarily the truth, right? Like that is the distraction.
if it's an Africa-sized chunk of the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean that's rising, they're not gonna tell us that. They're gonna give us some other bullshit excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Danny, Dutch Sense did point out a fracking site right there where the earthquake took place.
Oh, Jane, I'm not saying that fracking is not making it worse. Oh, no. Don't think, no. Fracking is absolutely adding extra fire. It's like, actually, I was the expression, adding coal to the fire. Not even a question. Like, mercury in vaccines is definitely adding coal to the fire when it comes to autism. But it's not the reason. It's not the absolute. And this is the whole thing. There's something going on here that goes beyond. And when I see them point all their attention at one specific thing, immediately my fucking hackles goes out and goes, oh, that's a little too easy. That response is a little too easy and a little too pat. And there's not enough dissent against it. It's basically your global warming. Right? It's like, it's climate change. Yeah, you know what? The climate is fucking changing. It absolutely is fucking changing. Anyone who's got the brain cell of an amoeba can tell the climate is changing. Is it man-made carbon change being done because we keep driving our cars to work every day? No, it is not.
Did you see, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you again,
but
did you see where the founder of the Weather Channel came out and he was being interviewed on CNN? And he's proclaiming that global warming is bullshit from the word go. And he's told, I
mean, we've always had climate change.
Yep.
It's not changing.
No, global warming. That's what he said. Global warming is bullshit.
Yep. You know, if this is an effect of the pole shifting, which we know they are, the stars are in a different place, the sun's coming up and going down in different places. The Inuit recognized that 15, 20 years ago.
We had another sun shift. We had another sun shift here in the last week again. Well, I went out to hang up my clothes on the clothesline, and we've got like a small building to the side of our building, so you get the shadows. And you know where the shadows should be. You're hanging laundry at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You don't hang them on this side of the line because you know it's going to be in the shade within a half an hour, so you hang it down this side of the line. And I went out and I walked up to the line and went to throw something on the line and went, what the hell? The shade can't be there. It can't be there because just 2 days ago it was 4 foot over there.
I noticed that with the moon last night. I've been watching the moon because it's really cool. It's like pumpkin orange and freaking huge because of the smoke and stuff. And the window at the top of my stairs at a certain time of the night, I can look out it and it's right there. It's like a hand's width above the top of the mountain. When I went upstairs last night at roughly the same time, like it's a little bit different, but it was way above the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I've noticed? What I've noticed lately, I don't know if anybody else has, but I noticed earlier in the week this week, the sun was more of its golden color, like it used to be. And that lasted for like a day into the evening. And then the very next morning, it was white as like a lead light again. You know, as the sun comes through, you know, the foliage and your grass and stuff like that, it's this bright white light.
Yep, I think we cut Nat off. Sorry, Nat.
I cut myself off. I was just saying I wish the sun would shift over to the UK a bit.
Yeah, you guys need a little bit. The UK and Ireland are seriously vitamin D deprived at the moment. Like, seriously vitamin D deprived at the moment.
Just don't go back to burning coal, please.
Jayling, I see that you're here. Have you been noticing anything with the moon? I have a shit from now since we moved into this house. My view is really obstructed. I can't track the moon anymore because I have no where I am with the mountain, where it is with our house. I can't see jack shit.
The only thing I've seen lately is, well, this morning, the sun did another, I didn't even need a solar filter as I zoomed in until it got to a certain point, but there was this orange glow around the sun this morning. And then it was really bright orange. And then I just took a little bit of footage a little bit ago, and you can see the big difference throughout the day. Last night, the moon was way over in the freaking east. It should not have been above like John was saying, it should not have been above my tree line when I went out to see it last night, but it was. I didn't notice the difference like you did when you were putting the clothes out on the line of that, but I've been out at different times. You know, I couldn't go out consistently.
Yeah. I don't know. It was shocking to me, like I said, because you go out, and I have 4 kids. I do laundry continuously. And like literally, I went and just literally was like, but I was like, why are you in the shadow? You can't possibly be in the shadow. The shade can't be here. And I looked down at the ground and was like, there's no fucking way. The shade should be like 4 feet in the other direction. It should be another hour and a half before the sun gets to, the shadows get to that point. It was really weird.
I wonder if there's anybody out there that's been running a sundial for a while. I'd be curious to know if it still lines up like it should, like it's supposed to. Well, we know it's not going to because airports have changed the directions of their runways.
There's someone I know who was, and I had a big conversation with them back in 2015 when I was really, really on about the tilt of the planet and sun changing. Who was it? Someone in Canada? Someone out West Way? I want to say, I'm actually thinking it may have been Wade out in Saskatchewan, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure it was him, who has a sundial and has been living in the same house for like 30 odd years and knows exactly where the sun is. And he's like, it wasn't Wade. It wasn't Wade who I was talking to. And he was like, oh, yeah. No, it's so far off, it's not even funny now. The sundial doesn't even work anymore, basically.
Well, John, I can tell you this, yeah? I was having a smoke break from my work this morning. I sat outside, 9 o'clock, here in the UK, yeah? The moon, I saw the moon, and it had light on top of it, and the sun came up at 3 o'clock. So the sun should shine at the moon at 3 o'clock. And there was only light on the moon at 12 o'clock.
So your crescent was basically sideways.
Yeah. No, it was coming from above. So the moon was lighted on top, while the sunlight came from there. What the fuck?
Oh, dude, I've given up trying to come up with like logical explanations for this shit anymore. Seriously?
Graphics kids.
Yeah. Someone's just seriously on drugs up there.
Universal Photoshop is glitchy.
How about, no, I have to say, I noticed there's been really strange energy. That's one of the reasons why, one of the other reasons why I wasn't going to do a show tonight, because the energy has been so strange. And I just felt like just kind of being quiet and just like non-social, so to speak. But I got over it.
What do you mean energy? There is no energy.
That's kind of it, though. So we had our table set up down on the front, like we do every Friday and Saturday. We didn't Friday night because it was the big storm. Saturday. So last night. And it was really strange. The energy of people, it was like everyone was a zombie. Everyone was like this. No expression. There was no, to the point, where, like I said in the UnFuckers room at one point, it was to the point that when a couple walked by and they were laughing and talking and like you could see them being animated, it was almost startling to the point where you had to notice them because they stood out from the crowd so much just because they were really animated and happy. I watched people walking by, even the locals, like the people who you know and you wave to every day, just not angry, not sad, just nothing. Even the kids. And you have to understand here's really, really a funny place. Gozo is a funny place when it comes to kids because it's infinitely safe for children. Basically, when you come to like a place like Marsoforn, which is like a very traditional thing to do, that even the local Gozotans on a Friday or a Saturday night, you take the family down to Marsoforn, you go for a walk along the front, you meet your friends, you meet neighbors and family, and the kids just run wild. They just go. Parents are having dinner other side of the village, and the kids are running up and down the front. Doesn't matter if they're 3-year-old or 13 years old. They're just all over the place. And they've got scooters, and they've got bicycles, and they've got poi, because we have a lot of them swimming poi now. And they just go. Even the kids Saturday night were really, you could see like they were dampened. That's the only word I can say. It was as if they were under a dampener. They were just, even the kids weren't the usual charging back. I mean, literally, you have kids running frickin' everywhere. And they're riding scooters up and down, bicycles up and down the sidewalk, and people are jumping out of the way because you never know if you're going to get run over by somebody on a scooter. It was numb. It was numb. It was numb on Saturday. It's the only word.
Annie, it's Teresa. Can you hear me? I just want to say that I can't believe you just said the word numb, because I was just saying it yesterday to my friend that the atmosphere just feels like numb, like nobody feels anything. It's like it's maybe it's so much energy that nobody knows how to acclimate to it. It is very weird.
Maybe. I'm not going to say you're wrong on that one, because sometimes it's almost like auto shutdown, right? Like if the shit gets this big, you almost go into autopilot because you can't necessarily comprehend it all or deal with it or absorb it all at once. So you almost go into an autopilot, and that's what it felt like yesterday. Tonight, we were like, are we going to go out? Should we go out, set up our table on the front? And we kind of went back and forth, and I was like, no. I said to Nick, the energy's just the same as last night. There's no use even doing it. And there was live music playing, and got a call from a friend of ours who was down at the front. He said, yeah, it's dead. He says, it's like there's live music playing and no one's dancing. It's not, I mean, the people are there. It's not like it's dead as in no one came out. It's just that it's,
Does that have to do with more AI coming in?
I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of people are just exhausted. We're exhausted. Everyone's exhausted. And you get to a point where we all know how emotionally numb we've gone through multiple stages of like the highs and the lows, and you go through the anger, and you go through being sad or depressed or anything like that. And you just get to a point, and there's multiple times where I've felt it myself, where you just feel numb. And that's what it feels like. It seems like it's on a larger level this weekend. Like it's not just personally for people. It feels like a blanket.
I was on a private call with some of the...
There is no fucking energy. There is no energy, man.
Copy, there is
no energy.
All there is energy, darling. Nothing else exists.
Everything is energy, Dobby.
But I was on a private call with a bunch of the LMH group yesterday. And Mercy, I think you were there. I don't remember everybody who was there. But the incoming energy, I'm not really that sensitive to the changes. Like I see it in the trends more than I feel it in myself. But during that call, It was like off the charts, off the scale. I haven't felt things in my body like that, even doing acid. It was so intense.
Okay, that's interesting, John. Okay, that's interesting because Nick got hit yesterday really hard with the rolled sideways that he was like holding on to shit, and he went and laid down. He was like, I got to go do one of your tricks and go lay down.
You feel like you're bigger than your skin. You feel like you're thinking through Jello, like you're standing beside yourself. I mean, it was all over the map.
Well, he went and laid down, and then he said he did. Because I always said to him, look, if you're going to have a lay down, that kind of stuff, don't go to sleep. Just lay down for 15 minutes. Give yourself. You're not there to nap. You're just there to kind of ground and just kind of allow yourself. So he said he laid there, didn't move. 15 minutes, went to get up again. Was like, oh yeah, I feel better. Got up and probably fell almost right into the dresser. He was like, I don't feel better. And I was taking the kids to the beach, and I was like, why don't you come down to the beach? Just come sit on the sand. Just sit in the sand. Go put your feet in the water. Just something. And so we all went to the beach. And it was really interesting because I was not feeling the woozies. I was not getting the side to side like because that was kind of last week for me, right? But I couldn't stop going out. I was laying on the sand, and it's like I laid down, and you kind of do this. And like the moment I put my head down on my hands, instantaneously I was out, and I was like getting images. I was continuously getting all the different kind of images. And then I was having a really hard time pulling myself back. And I was like, whoa, okay, sit up, have a smoke. Okay. And then get up and go to the water a little bit, and then go. And I went and sat down, and even just sitting there, as soon as I closed my eyes, it was like I was instantly doing this, and I was gone. I was just like, so it was a really strange day yesterday. Like, that's what I mean. On multiple levels, it was really fucking strange, and it's still continuing today. Like, there's other shit today that's different, but it's strange. Yeah, strange.
You know, and we're getting hit with it. Like I said, I'm not really that sensitive. You can postulate that everybody's getting it to some extent, including the nasties. And because they're really no different than we are. They just they're just a little misguided. What's it going to be doing to them? You know, is it opening them up? Is it making them realize, we got to stop this? We got to make sure everybody's ready. Who knows? I mean, we're not going to know the details until after the game, and we can look back at it objectively because, well, we're in it. It's all subjective.
Yeah.
So I try, I look at the trends. I try not to project if I can possibly do it. I mean, it's almost impossible, but I just look at possibilities, and none of it's true. None of it's false. It's just data at this point, because we're not going to know until it's over. And what I found, for me anyway, the easiest way to get through it is just go with the flow. Don't fight it. Don't try to direct it. Just let it happen.
Yeah, but even go with the flow is fucking hard, man. Shit.
No, it's not actually. That's the easiest way to get through this. And
you have to
letting things happen that you have no control over is actually really easy. You just be in the moment. Once you get the moment concept down, it's everything sort of drops into place. The folks, the guys, Gina, Jenny, all of the folks that I'm dealing with outside of this group, and a lot of the folks in this group who are accepting and looking at this from a larger perspective, things work out really well for them. They're not stressed. They're having a blast. They're having a lot of fun with this. And stuff just falls into place. I mean, yeah, okay, so I got to move. Well, yesterday, as soon as I found out I got to move, some guy said, hey, I got a place. I'm looking for some tenants. These little synchronous, these little events just happen. And it's to the point now where I can't simply ignore it. I've been through it in my life many times. When I was living in Karamias, I was there for about 3.5 years. Great life. Just basically do what I want. Twice a day, I go collect eggs and feed the chickens, and the rest of my time was my own. But it got to the point where, okay, I need to do something else. This is boring. Within 3 days, I had a place to go. Basically the same deal, except for, some of the conditions were different, but it was rent-free. Just come and live, be here, help out when you can. It just worked out. The day I needed the money to go get the truck, the money was in my account. Everything happened just because I let it happen. I didn't try to fight it. I didn't try to direct it. I didn't try to put my spin on it. I just realized time to move, and everything within 2 weeks I was moved. No planning involved. It didn't, it worked out really, really well. I'm seeing this happen all over the map, with everybody who just lets go. Like Danny was saying earlier, letting go doesn't mean being apathetic.
No.
I mean, if there is something, if you are driven to speak out, because that's where you're being driven to do. If you're in a position where this is, the thing with the nurse comes to mind right off the bat. There was 3 cops there and 2 security guards. So 5 people who were a problem, but you could see in the background, there's dozens of people there. Why didn't those people walk up and surround them and go, no, this is wrong. You're not doing this. Right?
Yeah.
Do what you're driven to do. If you're driven to sit on your butt and watch TV all day long, like I am right now, I have no ambition. I have no drive to do anything. I'm in the point where you're done. Wait, just relax. You got something else to do, but it's down the road a little ways. Just relax right now. And all I do, I've been binge watching Voyager for the last 4 days.
We're binge watching Doctor Who right now, so I hear you.
Yeah, so don't stress about it. If you have no ambition, if you just feel like sitting on your butt, drinking coffee and reading a book, read a book. If you're driven to speak out, if you're driven to make some noise, to do something, to go help a neighbor, if you're out in your yard doing something and you see your neighbors having issues and the thought comes, I should help, go help. If the thought comes, well, they did it on their own, they got to figure this out for themselves, then let them figure it out for themselves. Just allow. That's because everybody I watch who does that, things work out perfectly for them.
Oh, it's just so funny, John, because like I said, I'm getting pushed.
Flies.
They're still trying to land on your eyeball?
They're trying to fly up my nose, land on my eyes.
Because I'm feeling that I need to get more involved community-wise here in Gozo in various levels of stuff that I've always been involved in. And I'm not going to say I made the mistake. I felt pushed to open up in one of the big groups that we're in. It's a Gozotan. It's all about Gozo, but it's mostly expats, but there's a lot of Gozotans there too. And a lot of more forward-thinking, if you will, Gozotans. And I've my mouth a few times on more political type subjects recently, and got talking about recycling and garbage and all of that kind of shit came up. And I've now just been asked to join a working group to present Parliament with an initiative on waste and recycling, et cetera, et cetera. So it looks like I'm stepping back into the political arena again. That's like, there's a reason why I felt moved to speak up that day. And when I spoke up and I shared the knowledge that I had, people who identified that I knew what I was talking about immediately contacted me and said, okay, we're putting together a working group. We would like you to be a part of it. So,
yep. And the solutions are really easy, like for stuff like that. If recycling paper is really bad, don't use so much paper.
Well, we're a land of plastic bottles. Everything's all water, Everything's bottled water. So, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, around here, we've got, you know, in that respect, we've got water dispensers at Safeway. And it's just a machine. You buy a bottle and you stick it in and you hold the button for 4 minutes. Your thumb falls off, and then you go and you spend your $3 or whatever it is. Why not take your own container?
Yeah, they don't have that here. But it's, you know, one of the things that could be done here. So.
Yep. And if enough people, you know, I'm thinking specifically with Safeway, if enough people walk in and go, look, we don't want to buy your bottles because they're hazardous. We want to do our own here. So put a meter on there and meter how many cubic liters or whatever the water is, and we'll pay for it by the liter. But we're bringing our own stuff. Otherwise, get rid of this fucking machine because it's harmful.
Yeah,
they'll do it. And if enough people do that, it'll happen.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the side effects that we're seeing with a lot of the really stupid stuff that's coming out is people realize if enough of them speak out, change happens.
Yep. You know me, I've always been one who said people want to sit back and be armchair quarterbacks and say, oh, protesting doesn't work, etc. But I mean, Anne can tell you that it does because they make it work in Ireland. And you know what? It does work. And standing up, people together standing up can create change. It absolutely does work. But it takes people to do it together.
Protesting, I'm of the opinion that children complain, adults claim. So in my view, protesting, yeah, it makes everybody aware of the situation. But the change comes when they stop bitching about it and go and fix it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%, but sometimes you have to start somewhere. And sometimes even the act of just making things visible is the first act in the play.
Yep. But how visible does it have to be? I mean, look at what's going on. Look at how ridiculous this is. What did we had what? I can't even remember the timeline now. We had SARS, we had Ebola, that shit in Toronto, whatever the hell that was.
H1 and H1N2.
It's always been the same bullshit.
Yeah.
The storms. This thing with Florida, right?
Yeah.
For how long? For the last, 10 days? They've been freaking out. Got to get out here. Everybody's going to die. The people in Florida are out there with their video cameras going, yeah, it's a rainstorm. So what?
Yeah.
Right? It's being exposed. But it's being exposed by people who are doing, not bitching.
Yeah. Okay. And here's the thing. And this is, I was going to say this earlier in this conversation, was the fact of the trick is also to get people to remember and put them together, because there's been enough of these, like the Mexican superstorms that didn't actually happen. The massive snowstorm, the blizzard that's going to shut down New York City that got this much fucking snow in New York City. I shit you not. I had friends all over New York going, they banned everyone. You weren't allowed to drive. They put the city on full-on curfew. The whole bit. There was that much fucking snow. It was delightful. The children were outside playing in it. It's like not even a blizzard. When people start putting these together and going, wait a second. Wait. Okay, wait a second. And then this one. Okay, are our meteorologists completely fucking incompetent? Or is there more to it here?
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 345 times, that's just human?
That's just stupid.
They're following a script, right? Obviously. Yeah. But 5 million people left Florida.
Yep.
That's a shit storm of people.
And each one of these 5 million people, it's going to cost them $500 to $1,000 each just in getting from A to B.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? You know what else?
Well, here's my thing. John, okay, because my pessimistic side reared its ugly fucking head last week. And it was like, well, they boosted the economy for Florida. They sold out of water. They sold out of food. They sold out of lumber. They sold out of sandbags. They sold out all the airlines for everyone getting out. So basically someone made a shitload of money last week, didn't they?
No shit. And they were raising gas prices $40 for a case of water bottles. a case of bottled water. $40, Danny.
That's insane.
It usually goes for $2.95 at Walmart.
Yep.
Yeah, Peter, no good crisis goes to waste.
I know, it's true though. That's what those fuckers say. That's what I'm saying.
How stupid do you have to be to pay $40 for a case of water?
No, I know.
Okay, goes back to, again, prepping, right? You don't need bottled water. You have some empty bottles, you stick them under a tap.
I know.
You fill them up and you put them in.
People are stupid, Danny.
I know, but this is what I'm saying. Fool me once, right?
Yep. You don't need bottled water. You need a little pump and a filter.
10 times. They'll take 10 whippings.
Yeah.
They will. Unfortunately. It's sad. It really is sad.
Okay, Philip, you're just disgusting. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Sell it as elixir of youth.
Yeah, no.
But hey,
Although, that was the big thing because Pont de Leon, the fountain of youth is supposed to be in Florida somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm really wondering. Infrastructure, military bases, all of that aside, what's down there that we don't know about yet? That's so important. We have to remove everybody to do it.
The Triangle. The path of Irma was right over the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, why didn't we get reports from Bermuda about the storm?
that's right.
Because it went right over Bermuda.
Hey, it supposedly rolled right through the Keys, right? Right?
Yeah.
Key West.
Yeah, and there wasn't...
The damage was like minimal.
I mean, with the thing in Louisiana, I mean, we had lots of independent people's video on YouTube going, wow, this is a wild storm. Look at those waves. And the people are freaking out.
Yeah,
and here we got nothing.
Those are just, they're looking for, attention, attention grabbers.
Well, even the people who are seeking attention, there is validity in what they're doing because it's independent. It's not controlled. It's some guy with, one of these wandering around going, oh, look at this. This is really cool. And yeah, he's trying to seek attention, but his content is accurate.
Right.
Right? And we're not getting any of this from Florida, from the Keys, from anywhere.
You guys want to see this shit? Here. Okay, I'm going to show you this shit. So I pulled up my radar. One thing that has, they've got all the fucking wind speeds are back again. Because all this morning, all the wind speeds were gone for southern Florida. Everywhere. Okay? But hold on. Share screen. Okay. Okay. I'm going to get rid of my chat because I can't see jack shit. Okay, so here is, I'll zoom it back out so you guys can see, right? So this is not NOAA. This is a radar, and it is a global. You can go through all through this whole area in here and look at all the global radar. And it gives you from the buoys, from the airports, from wherever there's a radar coming up, they give you the details, right? So I'm going here. Now, hold on. If I move the picture out of the way, move you guys up here. No, not like that. I'm trying to pick you guys up and move you up. There we go. So if I go over here, so we go to Fort Myers. So I'll get my cursor put on Fort Myers over here. Or somewhere close to Fort Myers. There we go. Fort Myers, wind speed 49 miles an hour. Well, that's what I got here right now. Go up to Sarasota. That's Osprey, but okay, close enough. Not available. Go up to Tampa, which, looking at this, should be right up there in the 25 miles an hour in Tampa. Go across over here. Let's go to West Palm Beach. 51 miles an hour. Let's go down to Miami. Oh, look at that. I had Miami a second ago. Why is it not giving me Miami? Hold on. There we go. Venetian Islands, Florida. Wait, that's not what I just had. I just had Miami up, and it was only like 18 miles an hour. North Miami, 48 miles an hour.
This is current?
This is current. This is right freaking now.
Yeah, I'm looking at a live stream from Clearwater Beach in Tampa, 9/10/2017, 6/20/02, and the waves are about a foot high.
You know what, you guys, though? Think about this one thing just for a second. Harvey, when it hit Houston, it ended up really being a water event. Okay? Stay with me here. Now, Danny, 75% of the people, homeowners in Houston, did not have flood insurance.
Oh, I know.
Guess what?
It's a bailout.
Hello, Florida, get ready, because all those homeowners that don't have flood insurance, I don't know. There's something to this, guys. It's more than what meets the eye.
But that's what I'm saying. But you look at this and you go, okay, so we know that the National Insurance Emergency, I can't remember what it's called off for the states off the top of my head right now. We know they're bankrupt. They've been bankrupt since 2008. I mean, totally fucking bankrupt. Okay, so they're bankrupt.
So is now, by the way.
So is what?
So is now.
Well, female, of course, same thing with female. Those coffins cost a lot of money, you know. So are we looking at a bailout? They got to create the necessity that could force. Well, and that's how I said. I did that report, and I said they've tied the rescue money for Hurricane Harvey into the bill for the new budget. Therefore, it'll force everyone to pass it, right? Force the House of Congress to pass the bill for the new budget to raise the ceiling, because they have to raise the ceiling because they don't have any money. But they're using Harvey as their excuse. So now they've got Irma as well. Right now they'll throw, and Irma. Well, you got it if you don't pass this well.
In all these other states too, screaming, "Oh, government emergency!" Screaming emergency. You know, Georgia, Tennessee. I mean, Irma hasn't even gotten there yet, and they were already, filing emergency. Yeah.
Okay, Danny, can I jump in here? I just want to point something out. Can you pull that back down to show basically the center of the storm?
Yep. Do you want me to
okay, look at that. You can see the swirl, right? Yep. Tampa is like in ground zero. It's not at the center. It's on the edge of the storm. The wind should be like 100 million miles an hour at that point.
Yep.
Right? Okay, let me share my screen.
35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me stop sharing. Okay.
Again, if they flood them, we'll know it was a water event.
There's a live stream from Clearwater Beach in Tampa right at this exact moment.
Okay, the grass is blowing.
Well, that shouldn't be covered with water. I know that area. But I will say...
Well, that's not water, that's sand.
Look at the boardwalk. The boardwalk is about where the water level is about where it should be in the boardwalk.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right.
Right? If this was 100-mile-an-hour winds, these waves would be 30 feet high.
These waves would be right up here hitting up this grass. I mean, look at the trees that are in the bottom left.
Yep.
They're barely even moving.
The National Weather Service today said 10 to 15 foot high waves to be expected in the Tampa area.
Yeah.
Hello, it didn't happen.
Keep in mind also, this is not a webcam. This is the private webcam from a real estate company.
But it's facing.
Well, the chances are likely that it's not a fake thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
This is a cam that's stuck in a condo on the beach. They're trying to sell the condos. They're advertising the beach.
Yeah, they're like, look at our beautiful beach. You could be here. Here, look at our webcam. Yeah.
Right? So when you're looking for confirmations, make sure you check your sources. Go to independent places that probably don't follow the script.
Hey, did I say earlier, I watched cameras all over different parts of Florida today, highway cams showing like a handful of traffic. Most had no traffic. I'm talking about 75, Route 75, 95, going south or north or south. But I mean, like, it's a ghost state.
Yep.
Even Orlando, which is up central Florida, that's where I lived for 11 years. There's no traffic. I-4 is dead. Dead.
Well, no one wants to be on the road now because they're all afraid.
No, I've been watching it since yesterday. No, since this morning. Yep.
There's the...
There are some cars, though.
Come on. I guess nobody's monitoring these cameras, so some of them aren't working, obviously.
Marina cams.
That's probably a good one. Oh, it doesn't even exist. Haha. Lenny's Surf Shop. I could pretty much say that Lenny's Surf Shop isn't a government front. So,
hey, John, you could type in highway weather cams, Florida, and boom, bada bing. You're going to get a ton of cams. Yep. And you can look at cams by county. You can look at cams by region, yeah, etc.
Okay, Pacific Beach, rain showers.
Yeah, northeast wind.
46 miles an hour.
46 miles an hour.
46?
And rain showers, not thunderstorms.
Right.
Not heavy dousing rain. No, it's rain showers.
This is really fucked up, you guys. What the fuck are they doing? Why are they scaring the shit out of the whole fucking, come on.
This is why they want it depopulated.
Yeah, well, we already talked about that.
Well, it's not. They're not killing people off. If they were killing people off, they would have said, "Stay home."
Hurting. They're bringing everybody from the west side of the country into the Midwest and towards the east, and they're bringing people from the south and from the East Coast. Well, the people from the East Coast know by now that they're primarily safe, but down south, they're all coming up. Not all of them, but obviously the majority of them. 5 million. That's a lot of people. And then, those coming out west. So the Midwest is going to have to feed and, provide shelter. And, I'm sure we'll all be able to do it. But, I mean, this is really extreme. This is a lot bigger than Katrina. I mean, the majority of Florida, or at least half, relocating. And it hasn't even, although, okay, again, if it's nothing, and they evacuated Florida, what the fuck are they doing?
Yep. I mean, there's got to be something in some good old boy's shed in the swamp they want, and they don't want anybody to know they're getting it.
Again, it takes me back to Katrina when they did that to.
That was that was primarily a land grab because they were going broke at that time. They still had some funds, but they were going broke. They knew they very shortly they have to have assets to cover their bank bullshit. But now there's no assets left to cover their bank bullshit.
Yeah, this is something else.
So the resource grab, I think, is not necessarily off the table, but down the list quite a ways.
Think about all the hospitals. Oh my God. All the hospitals, they had to relocate people. I mean, oh my God. An entire state.
Yep.
But here's one of the big things. When you go, hold on, I've lost Zoom again. There we go. The one thing they keep showing on the news is this. This is the NOAA from GOA's satellite. This is the feed every mainstream news is using. Every single one, no matter where they are.
Script. Yep.
Can you read what it says at the bottom of the screen?
No.
Imagery and loops on this site are intended for informational purposes only. They are not considered operational. This website should not be used to support operational observation, forecasting, emergency, or disaster mitigation operations, either public or private. In addition, we do not provide weather forecasts on this site.
Entertainment purposes only.
That's pretty much what they just said. Basically, they're saying, here we go. This is not considered operational. This is just a thing. It's like a piece of artwork that we do. And it's not used for weather forecasts. And yet,
that's why
every single website, every mainstream news is showing that image right there.
That's why she couldn't find it on the radar. Danny, and I'll tell you what, that shit went viral. I'm telling you right now, I bet her videos went viral. And that's why they finally put the radar up.
Well, it's really interesting because that's exactly what I said. I was like, all of a sudden, everyone was talking about it.
Not there, it's not there, it's not there. And all of a sudden,
radar. And that's when all of a sudden I couldn't get the radar readings for certain cities. It was not available information, even in Cuba. The official government stations for Cuba were going, the information's not available, and yet I could go like around them and get into back, small little radar things and go, oh, look, there it is right there, 18 kilometers an hour. Not really a hurricane.
We still have to figure out where the hell did the water go?
Well, no, here's the thing. The whole thing about Bermuda and the water disappearing.
But it just happened also off of Tampa Bay.
Did it happen off Tampa Bay as well? The water just all of a sudden disappear? Yeah, but we've been watching that for 3 weeks, haven't we?
It did. I tell you,
in August, it happened off the coast of Chile when all of a sudden they had the massive flooding. But when Brazil, all of a sudden all the water disappeared from Brazil off the coastline, and that was 2 weeks ago.
Take a bowl of water and spin it and see what happens to the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so yeah.
Take a bowl of water, just tilt the frickin' bowl to the side and watch what happens.
Danny, what do we have? We have Brazil, water disappears. How do you say it? Uruguay or something?
Uruguay?
Yeah.
Uruguay? Yep.
Yeah. Now Tampa Bay, Long Island, Brazil, or Bahamas? No.
Bahamas, yeah. Bahamas.
I'm thinking.
Nassau, Bahamas is what you're thinking.
I'm thinking Bermuda. Was there someplace in Bermuda? Or is that part of Bermuda?
I don't know. I know what happened in Bahamas.
Okay.
Nassau, but I don't know about Bermuda.
But all these locations have had water disappear.
Yep.
It's like, what the fuck?
It's kind of weird because that's almost a line. It's got a bit of a curve to it, but it's almost a line. The river here, the Columbia River, has been at max since May. And
I do question because I don't know. I kind of hesitate to say it, or suggest, but the weaponry they use, like NexRad and some of this other technology that they're beaming storms with and doing their shit with, if they aren't using that to, throw us off. And I don't know, there's so much fuckery.
I hear you. And this is one of the things, to me, fuck the storms, pay attention to things like all of a sudden tidal waves. All of a sudden water surging up on the west coast of South America, like massive water surges.
Hey, what if there was a shift?
Water disappearing? These are much more important than storms as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. What if there was some kind of a shift, and that's why we had water retracting like this?
Well, think about how water reacts. It takes the shape of whatever vessel it's in. It seeks the lowest point.
No shit.
Right? If it's moving, relocation, it's simply redistributing itself.
Exactly.
right? But that's the thing. The water comes back.
And then we can talk about that Navy friggin' map.
Well, I mean,
there's a bunch of those maps.
But we won't go there. We won't go there.
With water, right? Like John said, if you take a bowl that's, say, okay, like my ashtray, right? And if you have filled it to water to the top and you just go like this, the reaction is really quick because it's a very small contained area. If you're talking about a very, very big area, if you lift it slightly, the water will roll and start to go. And then it has equal and opposite reaction. It hits whatever's on the other side and it comes back. All those tides all sorted themselves out. Bermuda, later on in the day, the water all slowly came back. It didn't come in as a great big giant.
I did read that.
Slowly came right back. Same thing will happen. It happened in all the other places. It's not like the water just disappeared. So whatever is happening. Are we looking at a massive tectonic shift?
You saw where it came back, though, in those other places? Because I've been looking.
Yeah, the water all came back to the normal levels within hours, within, like, a day.
Each one of those places that we talked about?
Yeah.
And the cat came back the very next day. The cat came back.
Start. John, I will kill you. Stop cue me again. Yeah. No, the water comes back, right? So are we looking at a tectonic shift? Yeah, I have been hypothesizing that that's what's going on here. That's why the Azure window in Gozo fell. Because the storm that knocked down the Azure window, it wasn't that big a storm. For Gozo, I don't know, maybe in Florida they consider it that big a storm. But in Gozo, that was not that big a storm. The waves were 10, 12 feet high, maybe. It wasn't that big a storm. And then the Azure window fucking just gone. Now we have right off our house. I can go look my head up the door at the jumping rocks. Wherever out on the beach, we've got a cliff area where there's jumping rocks. The one jumping rock that you jump in the water, you swim over to it, and then you climb up to the top and jump back in. The dive rocks, the whole back side of the dive rock is cliff face has fallen off. That happened just about 3 months ago. There was no fucking storm.
Well, wouldn't they kind of...
There was no fucking storm. What caused a giant chunk? I mean, the chunks of rock are still in the water. You can still see them sticking out.
Yeah. And wouldn't that kind of explain why you are seeing, the sun and moon in different locations?
But that doesn't cause and effect. That's just another symptom, right? Is it, when I say tectonic, I'm talking about, John mentioned it. If all of a sudden an area of the ocean floor goes like this and lifts 2 meters, a meter, that's going to shift the water because the water has to rebalance itself over the lifted area. And if it's a small little piece of, like say, like this, like there's 2 tectonic plates and one just shifts like this a bit, there's not going to displace that much water. But if it's a tectonic plate and one shifts like this and the whole plate comes up, you're going to see a massive movement of water. It's going to shift.
I was referring to like a global shift.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. But we're seeing it all over the place. We know.
You're describing an upward shift, though, right? Like
it doesn't matter if it's an upwards or a downwards. And
the mechanics are the same regardless, whether it's a wobble or it's deformation of the underlying substrate.
But so you could be talking about a shift of the tilt of the planet, and the magnetic tilt and the actual physical tilt of the planet shifting could cause the tectonic plates to lift and fall. That's what I'm saying. There's symptoms of, they could be symptoms of. We don't know because we don't have satellites in orbit and we don't have the instruments to be able to measure. Dutch since measured over by the Indian Ocean. This was about 2 years ago. The buoys showed that there was a lift on the ocean floor of that area, and it was a big fucking area, of 3 meters. 3 meters, the ocean floor lifted. Well, when that happens, you're going to have physical reactions to that. The water has to go somewhere.
But also, when you have a lift at one point, there's also going to be a depression elsewhere.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it lifts this way, but if it lifts this way, think of it, this is a massive tectonic plate. Now, this is the thing that I was looking at. If we're looking at that kind of shifting, because you sit there and look at South America and you've got the water disappearing on the East Coast and the water like rising massively on the West Coast. Are we seeing something where like all of a sudden on the East Coast it's shifting down, it's dropping, and it's taking like a week for that water redistribution to come all the way around and hit the West Coast and therefore rising up on the West?
That's the most plausible. For the effects that we've seen right now, that's the most plausible explanation. Is there is a height adjustment, and you know when a tectonic plate raises, it's not growing more rock.
No.
So when it moves, there's a void created, and that void is going to get filled with something, whether it's more rock, magma, something.
We don't know.
And because that void gets filled, it's got to come from somewhere else, which means if the magma's moving, there's a deeper pocket here, there's less here, that plate's going to drop. It's going to seek a balance, always. And it's like you said, if on the Atlantic, all of a sudden the water's disappearing out of the Atlantic and there's too much in the Pacific, chances are something in the Pacific's going up, the Atlantic's going down, and it's going to take a while for everything to shift around.
We shift around. Yep.
It makes total sense. Whether that's what's going on, we won't know.
We don't know. And that's what I've been asking the questions all week, saying, with all the shit that we're seeing play out, we don't know. We don't have instruments in space so we can take measurements. We don't have satellites. We don't have, do you know what I'm saying? So how the hell do you deal with it? You don't. There's nothing.
Well, if it is Mu coming back up, we believe that the big hunk of water around Hawaii was Mu. If Mu is coming up, then the beaches in Hawaii are going to get really big. That's the first thing we'll see is all of a sudden, instead of walking 70 meters to the water from the tree line, you're going to be walking 200 meters. Mm. Or there's suddenly a cliff where there was where it was a drop off before. Something like that. We do have folks in Hawaii that
23rd thing. I don't believe, Pamela. I'm sorry. I don't do these dates fucking bullshit. And every time someone picks a date, everyone starts focusing on the date. And it was last month. It was August 21st because it was the eclipse. Hey, everyone focus on this date. Oh my God, something amazing or terrible or something else is going to happen. Now it's September 23rd. Don't buy it. I don't buy it for a fucking second.
No, it's event driven, not time driven. Now, when you get really close to the event, you can kind of say, well, yeah, a few hours, but no. Frankly, if there's an 8-mile high tidal wave come off the Pacific Ocean and it's big enough to get to Alberta, there's nothing I can do about it except take pictures and hope the camera survives. So I'm not going to stress about it.
No, and that's why I don't stress either. I can't do anything about it. So why stress about something you can't fix?
Yeah, chances are it's got to go over 3 14,000, 15,000 foot mountain ranges to get to me. So I'm not really too worried about it. But I got the Columbia River right there.
Yeah.
And, this river right outside of my house, it's about 350 feet wide, about 80 feet deep, and it's full right now.
Yeah.
September, it should be empty. And it's not. It's right to the top. And we didn't get that much snow last winter.
No, exactly. Philip, yes, and I said this the other day. The last couple of weeks of September, they always can't find something. We were looking for, what was it, the Jewish holiday, the Jubilee year was September, and then the year before that, it was the beginning of that Jubilee thing. And then the one thing I always file it down to is the only thing I always see in common is that's when the U.S. budget has to be approved. And they need to, no, because they have to be able to work all this fucking budget shit out. They have to be able to convince everybody, get them distracted so they can put all kinds of shit into the budget. And they hide a shitload of stuff in those budgets every year. All kinds of stuff.
I see where you were going with that now, Danny, earlier.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing it up again. And yeah, very important.
Big distraction. It's always September. End of September, and they've been doing it since fucking 2013.
Fuckers.
Yeah, Star, you guys didn't get much snow there. South Indiana, there's not a tremendous amount of rivers, but are your rivers still full? He's trying to find the button. That's okay. You said no. The weird thing was we didn't get that much snow here. Now, up north, I lived in Kamloops for a while. Danny lived in Kamloops. She knows there's like 3 feet overnight. 5 feet overnight is not unusual.
No.
30 feet accumulation over the year is not unheard of out there. No. You go a little farther north, you go up in like Powder King ski resort.
Yeah.
Their average snowfall is between 30 and 60 feet a year. We didn't get that much last year. The rivers, we should be in a drought condition, and we got more water than we know what to do with here.
Yeah.
So the water is moving. It's adjusting itself somewhere. Now, I don't know why the river is still full. Most of the water that fills the Columbia River comes from snowmelt. There's very little of it comes up from the ground. And it's very strange that when I take the dog down to the river for a walk, we got a little strip of gravel that we can walk on where we should be able to go out to the first pier on the bridge like we did last year.
Yeah.
The water is moving. It's moving globally. We can see it in the oceans. We can see it in select areas where unusual amount of water is there. And there's places which should have lots of water and they don't right now. They're in drought condition. Ontario, somebody mentioned it earlier. It's been raining all summer.
Yep.
Which you'd normally see in the Lower Mainland. I mean, Danny, I think you spent some time in Vancouver. You know what it's like, the rain there, right? You get 2 months of amazing weather in the summer, and it rains for 9-10 straight after that.
Yep.
That hasn't happened in 2 years.
Yeah.
The Lower Mainland's been like a Southern California for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I remember, before I moved here a year and a half ago, the last 2 years in Chilliwack it rained, but it rained for 5 or 6 hours, and then there was 3 days of nice weather, and then it rained for another couple hours, and then it was another 5 days of nice weather, where normally it would start raining in October and not end till April.
Yep. I would say, and rain nonstop. Nonstop. Kind of like what's going on in Ireland.
Yep. Which you look at it from a planetary point of view, if the planet is shifting, yes, those patterns are going to move. They have to. We know the Gulf Stream has moved. We know the jet streams have moved. Like beyond the normal cyclical motion that they go through typically. They're like way out of place. So yeah. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. So if it's nice weather, enjoy it. If it's shit weather and you don't like it, move. Find some place you like.
Yeah, I don't know about that. The problem is no one knows where anybody's weather's going to be, for the most part.
Well, I'll tell you, Central BC is
one of the hottest summers.
Fantastic right now. I mean, it's what are we looking at? 74 degrees. We got a very slight breeze. The skies are the bluest I've seen them since I was 4 years old. And it's been like that all summer.
Ellie was saying there, it's like this September now is the beginning of it's making me think about what's been kind of in recent years. It's like it feels right now more like a month ahead. I mean, now we're experiencing this, the fall-like conditions. It's like it's kind of going with it. I'm like, it's better than
Star's only what, 2 hours for me?
Maybe, if that. If that.
Yeah, I have a lot of people saying it's October, but that's happened last year and happened 2016 and 2015.
But it's kind of normal for this part of the country, really.
Yeah, but as I'm saying, in other parts of the country, it's not normal.
I know.
Like here, right now, we've had big, huge. We've had 2 thunderstorms, 2 big, and the rain that we had on Friday was torrential. Like I said, we flooded several of the valleys, flooded out. Schlundy Bay flooded out, cars floating out into the bay. I mean,
but Danny, they're geoengineering the shit out of us here. I mean, on a daily basis, every now and then we get a break where we'll have a few 3, 4, 5 days of nice skies. But yeah, they are totally slamming us with chemtrails.
But here's the thing, and again, I bring up the question. Is it the easy thing to blame? Oh, they're geoengineering us. Look at those chemtrail planes. They're doing it all. It's all the fault of HAARP and chemtrails that are changing all our weather patterns.
No, it's
something to blame. And therefore, if it's the shifting planet, and I've been saying this since 2010.
Oh, no, I think it's
shifting,
coordinated. Everything's coordinated. It's all part of the bigger picture.
Well, what I'm saying is, though, is I keep saying, if the planet's actually shifting, and I mean literally tilting,
yeah,
there's jack shit they can do to fix it. There's jack shit they can do, so you got to come up with an explanation. So you come up with global warming, you put chemtrails in the sky, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I'm not saying they're not causing the problems. I'm saying they're not the prime problem. The weather changes we're seeing right now have jack shit to do with chemtrails.
Oh,
it's not.
But they're using. No, I disagree. They're using the chemtrails. It's a part of the coordinated effort to drive the storms.
To drive the storms. Yes, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about driving Hurricane Irma and Harvey. No, because you're absolutely right. They're driving those. I'm talking about the overall weather patterns, i.e., all of a sudden, people in Ontario are like going, it's the first week of September. How did it get to be October already?
Oh, yeah.
How did people who are sitting there going, weather patterns in Vancouver Island that are just ridiculous? Where there's radical changes of weather patterns, and I'm not talking about a bad week of storms. I'm talking over the course of years.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And there's what I'm saying. I look at it again, when I look at the chemtrails, everyone points and blames the chemtrails instantaneously for the change of the weather patterns. And I'm like, no, sorry, doesn't fucking happen. They can't, chemtrails and HAARP can't change weather patterns. They can't cause it to snow in Saudi Arabia in frickin' the middle of the desert. They can't cause it to snow in Kuala Lumpur in frickin' wintertime. That is now, we're talking much, much bigger shifting, like global shifting physically. Or the entire
chemtrails aren't going to explain why the UK has had winter now for, what, 11 months?
Yeah. At least 11 months of winter.
If they're getting closer to the top of the planet,
11 years.
That would explain it. You know, in relation to the axis of the Earth to the sun.
Exactly. So same type of thing. If all of a sudden I spent a mind-boggling 2 weeks back in 2015 pulling up every 3D rendering that I could find of the planet to try and play with, okay, if this is the 23-degree tilt, if we tilt it this way to 60 degrees, which is now what a lot of people are saying, where would the equator now lie? How would that affect this? And I spent, first, there's no fucking free programs out there that are really easy to use when you're trying to change where the equator is. Because as soon as you try to shift the equator, it goes, no, you can't do that. And it won't let you.
And we
when I was a kid, sorry, Jane, when I was a kid, I was heavily scientific, I wanted to learn everything. And I remember, Danny, maybe you can confirm this. I remember that the magnetic North Pole used to be under the north end of Baffin Island.
Yep.
And now it's inside.
Yep.
Right? That's going to have an effect. That's going to change a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the change, or initially the change will be slow because the system's in balance. You throw a little bit out, it's going to kind of go, oh, and then it's going to go, ah. It's just like falling down on the ice, right? As soon as your foot slips, you're not on the ground. You're going, I'm going to fall. And then you start, and it speeds up until you hit the ground. This is really not going to, the mechanics of these changes aren't going to be a whole lot different than that because it's going to accelerate over time. Now, if the magnetic pole has moved,
which it has,
you have two magnets. You got a really big one, which just happens to be bright yellow and spewing out energy, and you've got another one which is blue. If the poles of those magnets change, the orientation has to change.
Yeah.
It's physics. It has to happen.
Well, this is one of the main reasons why I lost my shit when they tried to announce that the poles of the sun had flipped. And I'm like, can I have a physics student, like any physics student out there, explain to me how it is the poles of the sun can have flipped and the Earth's poles have stayed the same? Can't happen. Two magnetic fields, the stronger magnetic field, if it flips, is going to flip the other field over. It's physics. It's definably, easily practiced physics.
Mm-hmm.
But here's another thing. So we talk about these things where they keep pointing fingers, and it's almost like I said, it feels like a piece of the distraction if you keep people looking. One of the things we've also noticed is all the die-offs of different animals. Animals beaching themselves, birds ending up in the wrong place, et cetera, et cetera. But if the magnetic poles are shifting, their internal GPS of these marine mammals and fish and wildlife also is going to be all off. So therefore, but yeah, everyone points to, Fukushima, and it's the Gulf. The Gulf oil spill and Fukushima are blamed for every animal die-off. And I'm like, yeah, no, that doesn't explain animals beaching themselves in the North Sea off the coast of, like, Scotland. It doesn't apply. It doesn't apply to finding flamingos in Siberia. We have flamingos in Gozo now. They had flamingos flew over Gozo last week, and I'm like going, that's it, I'm out of here. Seriously.
And they usually, where they winter in northern Africa typically, don't they?
I've never seen a flamingo in Gozo ever. I've never heard of a flamingo in Gozo. We had the swans. We had the swans last winter, and I was talking about that, saying how they had a police guard. They were there for like 8 weeks. The swans were in the water, the flood runoff, and they had a police escort the entire time they were there to make sure the hunters didn't try to shoot the swans. And people came from all over Malta and Gozo to come see the swans because they'd never seen them before. Swans had never, ever come to Gozo before.
And
yep. Well, it was about 6 years ago. I woke up one morning in Chilliwack, and right outside my window was a cardinal.
You don't get cardinals there?
Nope.
Really?
They don't get past Manitoba.
Because it's typically. Like in Toronto, we see cardinals all the time. I never realized that. Yeah,
on the east side. In BC, there are no fully red birds ever.
Huh.
Except I woke up and opened my eyes, and there's a cardinal sitting on the branch, like 2 feet away from my face. And that was several years ago. So.
Hey, Danny, I was trying to say, one other thing this reminds me of is we've also known that they've had to change landlines for pilots coming in.
Yep.
They don't line up anymore. They just have to shift the GPS coordinates for fucking Australia because it's no longer where Australia is no longer where they thought it was. And they gave some fucking excuse of how, well, over time, Australia's been drifting. Right. Australia's been drifting.
But hey, I remember reading about that. I remember reading about that though, like several years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a news report, 5 or 6 years ago that some airport in Florida had to repaint their runways because the magnetic lines.
Oh yeah. You can do some research on that. You can Google that easy. Yeah.
Every year, there's articles every year about the changes to the GPS, changes to and moving the Greenwich daylight, the Greenwich timeline. They had to move that this year. Okay, when you have to start moving the Greenwich.
So where is it now? Lithuania?
No, it's only been moved by a couple of meters according to them, but it doesn't matter. And the excuses they give are just pathetic.
Danny, they moved the damn friggin', what is it called? Georgia, the guidestones.
No, they didn't. They didn't move those.
Oh, really? Was that satire?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I never got any proof. And I know someone who was there July 28th, and they were still sitting there. So,
well, wait a minute.
I'm surprised some good old boy hasn't thrown a bucket of black powder at it yet.
This just came up, though. This just came up like a month ago.
It was a couple of months ago. And no, we've had lots of people who've said, no, they're still there.
Because Alfred talked about it. Winfrey. Lambermont Winfrey.
Yeah. Weaver, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of plays into what you were talking about earlier, Jane, when you were saying people are looking for their 5 minutes of fame. Some guy will just go, I can do this, and it'll cause all kinds of shit, and he'll do it, and it's total bullshit. Yeah, there's lots of that out there.
I didn't post it. I just thought it was fun. Well, again, I got it from Alfred, so I thought it might have some...
I could say something, but I'm just going to shut up and sit.
Oh, okay.
We've all been there. We've all been exposed to something that we ran with that didn't actually pan out.
Oh, multiple times. I have posted shit out that have been, oh, fuck, that's all a piece of bullshit. Okay.
You would think he would know better. I mean, my God, look at his...
You think Danny would know better. You think I'd know better. We've all
been sitting in a corner not saying anything.
I can just hear you in your head.
Oh no! I'm sitting in the corner, smoking my cigarette. No.
Yeah. Well, this is why I've shifted my views from this is what it is to this is a possibility.
Yep.
Because I've been bit too many times, and I mentioned earlier we're not going to know until it's all over. So I'm looking at trends, I'm looking at the effects of the trends, and I can kind of see a direction, but I can see several possible directions within that. So I'm not going to, put my foot down and go, it's this thing, because it's probably.
Hey, I still fluctuate back and forth between the Earth is tilting or the whole computer construct is just falling to pieces, and that's why everything's all fucked up. It has nothing to do with any physical representation of anything. It's just that literally the whole computer program is completely the Sims. Somebody got in and just like totally destroyed the Sims program, and raining in the Sahara and shit like that. Snowing in the Sahara in August.
I mean, the balance of probabilities of matter is simply a perception, and it's only energy, is really strong. So yeah, I am leaning in that direction because there's no actual evidence that says matter exists. All the evidence says it doesn't.
Yep.
Right. So there are things within the balance of probabilities which state this is likely, because there's possible, probable, and likely. And depending upon what level those three are at is going to determine what direction you're going to go in. Now, a lot of people out there miss that, and they look at possible as likely. I saw a picture. It's got to be true. Well, pictures can be adjusted. Did you see it with your eyes? I mean, the flat Earth thing. I've been on the top of a mountain. I've seen the curvature of the Earth.
Same with me.
My own eyes, not with a camera which has spherical aberration and a bunch of other shit that goes on. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've measured it. with radio waves. So the balance of probability for me is that within that perceptive sphere, it is a ball. Now, I also know from physics that it's not even a ball. It's a bubble, because it's just energy. That's all it is.
No.
And energy is...
I can't think about it right now, but there was I'm too tired to even go into it. It was an awesome new article, again, about the whole energy and matter thing, John, that came out just recently, a new study. And I can't do it. I'm just too tired to do it tonight and talk about it. But there was some pieces in there that were just like, wow, pieces.
From where, Danny?
A new scientific study. Just in one of the scientific journals, another new study on dealing with energy that Nick and I both were going through it with a fine-tooth comb. And just this was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And just literally having like a moment, like, I can't believe they just said that type moment.
Yeah. Those are awesome moments.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to go to bed. I did not plan on staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning, but I did.
But you did.
And I did.
Oh, your fault.
Oh, it's all my fault.
But you did, and I thank you.
Yeah, going to be some interesting shit going on. I don't know. The rest of this month is just the way the beginning is sorted out. The rest of this month, I'm kind of like, okay, what are they going to throw at us next? Let's just watch and see. Could get real fucking interesting. Definitely. Okay, guys. Yeah, I'm going to let y'all go. I got to go sleep now before I fall down. If you guys want to continue to talk, I can just throw John over as host or someone else take over as host and you can have fun.
I'm going to stuff I got to get done. Look at my house. I got to do something about it. So
we need a housekeeper, John.
I need a wife.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we do have a singles page on the RTS site, you know.
We have a singles group too, damn it.
I know.
I know. I'm on both of them.
I know, right? It's going nowhere. Hey, everybody needs to step up to the plate and get that thing moving.
Well, it's going nowhere because it's not what we should be doing right.
Right. I know. True. But hey, it's there, so as we get to know
the groundwork is there for everything.
Well,
we have the groundwork in place, and it'll all become relevant when it becomes relevant.
Yeah. If I teach Ruff to clean up after himself, 80% of the problem's gone.
If I teach my kids to clean up after themselves, 80% of the problem is gone. I had to spend last week 4 hours in the toy room, in the playroom, cleaning up Lego. 30 kilos of Lego that had been dumped out but mixed in with all the Playmobil. And
Shot back.
No, because it had to be separated. And you had to pull dust bunnies, right? Because we had a big dust bunny storm come through. So it was like you had to literally go through like this and go Lego, Playmobil, that's Bionicles. That's got to go over there. Oh, and this is some other random toy that goes in the random toy box. Lego, Bionicles.
Oh, another weird thing happened here that probably has a really mundane explanation. But Ruff's bunny is gone.
What's that?
Ruff has I bought him a little stuffed bunny as just a chew toy, but he doesn't chew it. He just plays with it. But it's gone. It's under
that dresser just behind you on your left.
He ate it.
I asked Ruff, where's your bunny? Find your bunny. And he spends like 20 minutes looking for it. And he's got a nose.
He pushed it under that dresser.
Well,
I've been under everything. It's not in the house. The only thing I can think of is he might have taken it outside and somebody picked it up and went, oh, I got a bunny, and walked off with it. But it's gone completely. And he's never taken it outside before.
Okay.
Well, we're still continuously losing shit in this house. Kale lost his tablet for about 36 hours. And yet I walked up to we've got like a wall unit, and it's got a big basket, and the basket is the catch-all for everything. It's full of poi. It's got all kinds of random crap. and I literally picked up a single sock boy, and there was his tablet. Now, everyone in the house has searched for the tablet. They spent all day today, the kids, because I was like, he was like, I really want my tablet. I'd like to watch a movie. Everyone get up, go find Kale's tablet. I literally got up, walked into the living room, walked to the basket, picked up the boy, went, here's your tablet. And Nick was like, there's no fucking way it was there. Because I searched the entire wall unit. So I searched everywhere. I'm like, it was like right there under a poi. Like you couldn't even, like sock poi is this big, tablet this big, right? Like.
Danny, can I tell you a story?
Yep.
Real quick. At night, I always unplug the router. I unplug the Wi-Fi. And so the other morning, I woke up about 4 and couldn't go back to sleep. So I was like, all right, let me go plug in the router and I'll, I'll watch something on YouTube or something. So I went to the room where the router is, and when I unplug it, I pull it around, up and over, and it hangs off the desk so that, it doesn't fall behind and I have to become an acrobat.
Yep.
And so I'm on the internet for about 50 minutes, and all of a sudden it says Safari cannot open this page because you're not connected to the internet. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I go out and I'm looking around out the big sliding door, and I thought maybe there was a power surge or something, and maybe I lost electricity, but the street light was on. And so I'm like, what the heck? So I went back to my bedroom. I looked on the iPad, still couldn't get on the internet. So I go back into the room where the router, was plugged in because I plugged it in, and it is unplugged and hanging off the edge of the desk.
Yeah, you were using the internet for 15 minutes.
No, for 50 minutes.
So for 15 minutes, you had a magical connection.
That's actually happened to me before. And it's kind of, I don't know. I kind of thought maybe it was a carryover connection, not connection, but.
I'd love that to happen here. Get rid of $100 a month worth of bills.
It doesn't last that long, but yeah.
It doesn't last that long. We need you to be a little more stable than that, John. I'm sorry to say. Okay,
yeah.
I got to go to bed. I'm seriously fading fast. I love you.
You want to stick around and talk?
One small step